Hello and welcome to another exciting Blender tutorial. Tonight we're going to be continuing the short film series. Let's get started. Last episode we talked about story structure and how we're going to put together a story. And in this episode we're going to be storyboarding the movie. We're going to put it all together and figure out how it's going to flow. All right, so we're going to start storyboarding our short film. So let's set up Blender to do storyboarding. So what I'm going to do is first, if you come over to your go to material view and make sure you've got scene world set, that'll help you have this white background if you come to your world tab and you can set the color of your background here now. Okay, so we're going to leave that on this mode. I've also turned off overlays because I don't really need to see overlays right now. Now, one thing that is useful is let's go ahead and go to our camera and let's set up our camera. I'm going to pop into the camera right here. Now, I wanted to go for a bit of a cinematic aspect ratio. So I'm going to come over to my printer icon and I'll keep the height of 1080. So I'll come over here and I'll type in the height into the width and I'll multiply it by 2.35. That'll give me the nice widescreen CinemaScope aspect ratio. Then I'm going to click on my camera tab and I'm going to come down here to viewport display where it says passport 2. I'm going to turn this right up. That will just blacken everything outside the frame so I can focus on what I'm looking at. Okay, now I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I don't have lock camera to view, so I'm not actually moving my camera. I'm just expanding the size of the view here. That's important. If you have lock camera to view and you roll your mouse wheel, you're actually going to be moving through 3D space, right? So I want to untick that. Now I'm just changing the size of, this frame that I'm looking at. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and turn this back off. So now I've got my frame set up. So we can storyboard. We can actually storyboard in sequence on our timeline and use grease pencil to do some really cool timing effects to kind of plan out our shot. Now, this is a technique that I use when I'm doing previs on actual movies. So on the film that I'm doing right now with Paramount, it's this approach is how I'm doing it. So what I'm teaching here is something that's very legit that you could use all the way up on feature films, okay? So what we're going to take is grease pencil, and we are going to, so you come to the dope sheet down here is what we want, and we're going to set it to grease pencil. Take the little drop down and select grease pencil just behind my head there, but you'll see it. And what we want to do, I'll raise this up a little bit and I'm going to split my view so I don't block anything. With grease pencil, I also want to pull up my timeline. So I'm going to come here, grab up one more time. By the way, to add windows, you just need to come to the bottom corner of any of the windows. You get this little plus symbol. You can see it just next to my head there. And if I click and drag, it'll split the view and give me another view. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to go to timeline and I'll just drag this down, make sure I'm at the beginning. And then I want to turn on auto keying and I'm going to click on this little drop up and I'm going to make sure it's set to add and replace. What this means is whenever I draw in my frame, it's going to replace what I've drawn with my new drawing. And this is a really useful way of speeding the process up. Just don't forget that you've got this turned on. It can be really painful later because anything you move in your scene, it's going to create a keyframe for that moment. All right, so with my grease pencil selected, I'm going to come over. Oh, we don't have one yet. Actually, we turned off our script. So I'm going to go Shift-A, grease pencil blank. I'm going to make sure it's selected. I'm going to come over here to my grease pencil tab. I'm going to click New Layer. And you'll see a couple things happen. We get this layer listed right here, and we get a keyframe. All right, now I'm going to also come here, and I'm going to select the same material that we had last time when we were doing our other stuff. So I'm going to switch from object mode to draw mode and just get the size of my pen to be right. Might go for 20. I want a nice chunky kind of marker. That's pretty good. Now with auto keying turned on, you can see I can draw here and I can scrub forward a little bit of my timeline. I can draw again and it will automatically delete what I had before. Just erase these guys. If you don't have this tool shelf, you can hit the T key. That brings it out, or you can click this little tab. That brings it out there. Okay, so let's map out our story. We're going to storyboard a bit. I don't know if we'll get through all the boards tonight, but we'll definitely we'll make some headway. So now I'm using a Wacom tablet to do these storyboards. Makes it a little bit easier because I've got a drawing stylus, but not everybody has that. Any tablet works. You don't have to have a Wacom. I'm not even using the pressure sensitivity and stuff that you get with these tablets. So even just a basic thing will work. But you can also do it with a mouse. Now, the other thing is I can draw a little bit. I can't draw great, but I can draw decently well. But you may be terrible at drawing. Don't let this hinder you from progressing. right? You can use a mouse and you can make, really bad drawings, okay? As long as they communicate what's going on. So this guy's going to walk here, right? And he's going to pick up the ball. This is the ball he's going to pick up, right? So you're planning it for yourself, and you want to think about, your shot. Say like, okay, I want somebody a bit closer, like watching him in this shot. So I'm going to make a big head here. I'll put the body here, and and he's watching. I'm going to make this arrow here so I know that he's watching him. So that's how you can kind of build up layers in your shots and think about stuff. That doesn't have to be a work of art. All right. This is just about communicating the story beats and helping you figure out what it is you're trying to say. All right, let's get rid of all these. And let's start off. Let's introduce our film somehow in a fun way. Okay, so let's say I'm going to hold down Shift. You can hold down Shift to do that little thing where you just kind of smooths out your lines. So let's say we start off with some feet, right? So we got this blank empty frame. Oh, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to this to be the background of a few different shots. So I'm going to create a plus here, and I'll come down to this bottom one. I'll just go ahead and draw it in here. Let's do that. Maybe another one. This, just some paneling, something like this, right? And then I'm going to grab my top layer, and then I want to have a, let's see, I'll have a foot, right? So my little foot comes in like that. These two, I'm going to move forward a little bit. So it's actually an empty frame, and then he comes into frame. Dude, and then maybe we've got like a few more of these guys, so I might take this frame and Shift D to duplicate it, right? And then I can go into edit mode. If I turn on, I can show what's going on here. I can hit A to select all, and you can see they're actually vertexes, right? Or vertices. I lock that bottom layer and hit Tab to go into edit mode. Now I can move this top drawing just a little bit like this. I can even Shift D to duplicate, bring it back, so we can see we've got multiple guys coming by. Just going to turn that back off. So now you can see we've got 8, and off they go, right? So, okay, we've got this introduction, this funny little moment. Now, what's cool about grease pencil is that I've placed these things on the timeline, right? So I'm going to make sure, I'm going to set my frames per second at 24 frames a second. That's what I want for this film. And now I can actually time this out, right? So I can go, actually, that's a bit quick. I'm going to drag this out. I want kind of a beat where we just have nothing. And then I want these guys, I'm going to maybe expand them out a little bit. So it takes a little bit longer. So let's say we cut wide to a new shot. So I'm going to not draw on this layer. I'm going to come here, unlock this bottom layer. And what I can do is actually I can go to this layer. And I can just like tap my mouse somewhere, and that will just delete everything. I can tap it again here, and I can just think fresh about what I want. So I'm going to take my background layer here. See what would be funny. If we were down low, it'd be funny to like cut wide, right? And we see that they're actually really tiny in the frame, So like if we have the floor, I'm just going to select some points on these guys and then use L to select linked. There we go. Now I can grab this guy. And actually, let's just delete this one. Delete those points. Delete those points. So you can work in edit mode, or you can use the eraser. And let's cut to a shot where like we're looking down the hallway, and we can see all of them going in a row, and then he's like kind of peeking out. So I'll just do a little click there. And what we're going to do is let's have the leader droid, he's feeling very happy. He loves his job. He's the best droid marcher there is. He's got a certificate from the Droid Marching Academy. That looks cool. So march, 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 and then Zink pops out, and we could have him like actually just zip off in this shot. That might be good. Onion skinning. So the way you find onion skinning is you first off, you come over here and you make sure it's set. It's all, let's select all defaults. That's always going to be on. So all you have to do is come up, and it's easier to see in some modes than others. If we go to Viewport Shading, you come up here, make sure your show overlays is turned on. And right down here at the bottom, you've got onion skin. You can turn that on right here. This is showing us quite a few keyframes. I'm going to turn my grid off, my floor and my axis off. Text info, I'll just turn all this stuff off. Extras. That's all pretty good. Okay, so now we're seeing multiple things, right? We're seeing this frame, which is the previous frame. And it doesn't show up when you're scrubbing through. So Anyways, the previous frame shows up green and the next frame shows up blue. And you can change all that over here in the onion skidding settings. So anyways, I'm going to take this as my reference point. So I'm going to grab this layer and I'm going to just tap to get rid of what's there. And I'm going to draw this guy just a little bit closer, like he's approached. Great. Now I can turn onion skidding off, or actually just turn the guides off. That'll help. And now you can see it's like he's kind of nicked off while these guys are progressing. Again, it's just for me to know what's going on. So but off they go. You can do a lot with a mouse, Majid, with grease pencil, especially with these shapes and stuff. Like you can draw shapes and do all kinds of crazy stuff with them. So I don't think it's entirely necessary to have a tablet. You can also do a lot with just geometry, in 3D space. You can just have like a camera looking straight on, orthographic view, and just animate stuff that way too. So the main thing about motion design, it's all about timing and motion, like the speed of things and how they move. So if you learn those concepts, it'll really serve you well. Okay, so we got this guy, nicks off, boom, and we're going to come right here. And now what he's going to do is let's kind of do a close up here, where he peaks. Yeah, like we come over. Let me think about this. One concept that's really important, right? So we're traveling down a hallway, right? So this is an overhead view. We've got our robots, right? And they're all going this way. And so far, we've had a camera angle from right here. And we had a camera over here, right? And it's really important to stay on the correct side of the line, which is called the 180-degree line. So you think about it, there's always a line straight through your scene. It's the line of action. And so far, our cameras have stayed on this side of it. So we need to continue to stay on this side in order for our edit to make sense. If we drift over and start doing angles from this side over here, it can get really confusing when we cut everything together. So if our little guy's just escaped and he's come over here and now he's tucked into this wall cavity, let's say, and he's going to peek out and look this way, we want to have a camera that stays sort of in this sort of quadrant, right? We need it to look at him kind of from this angle. We don't want to come over to this side and shoot him. We don't want to do anything like that because that'll be a bit confusing. It's kind of looks out. In fact, what it might be even better is let's duplicate that. I'm going to take this frame and I'm going to erase from this frame. I'm going to erase him just to communicate even clearer kind of what's going on. I'm going to take this and I might flesh out this hallway. And then we'll give his the reverse, so his POV. What is he looking at? We want to kind of answer that here in this next shot. So we turn around, a little POV shot. And then I want to get to the point where we don't have anybody in frame. So these guys have all marched off. All right, so they're marching. All right. The next part of our story, if you remember, he falls in the trash compactor. He's going to bounce down the trash heap, boom, 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 boom. And he's going to get picked up by a robotic arm and sit down on the conveyor belt. And the conveyor belt's going to take him to this trash compactor. He'll see it, freak out, turn around, try and run away, try and escape. And then the robotic arm is going to grab him and put him right back down. And so now we've got this conflict. Remember, that was what we talked about, was that was introducing conflict into the film. And so now he's going to get past the robotic arms. And we'll have to figure out some cool way of him jumping across robotic arms to get back to the exit and surviving. One thing that's really nice is actually to come over to Onion Skin and just right click and go to right here, add to quick favorites. Mine says remove because I've already done this. But by adding it to quick favorites, if I hit the Q key, I get this nice little pop-up menu. Okay. And I can turn on and off Onion Skin. That's just because I've added it in there. I've also added in erase and draw. So I've come over here to the draw and I've right clicked and I've added that to my quick favorites. And then I come over to my eraser and I've added that. Now I've got this little custom palette. I can just hit Q wherever I want. And I'm going to just kind of map out a shot here where I've got like my trapdoor, right, that opens up. Have maybe some like light beams and stuff kind of like shining out of this thing. And then we've got this like massive pile of trash, you know, like just crazy massive pile of trash that kind of fills the frame. Maybe just off in the corner of the frame, we've got the start of the conveyor belt, something like this. But this is all going to be really dark, I think. And yeah, we just kind of have this like really dark expanse. And he's going to go whoo, boink, boink, boink. What you can do is actually go into another layer. Actually, I'll hit plus to create a third layer. And I will move this layer underneath everything. So just plus that down. I'm not sure why there's a keyframe there on this layer. Did I grab the wrong one maybe? Yeah, I think I grabbed this back up. Yeah, 2, that would make sense. So I'll put this one at the bottom. I'll hit down on my arrow keypad to go between keyframes. That's a way of hopping between keyframes. It only works though if you have a layer selected that has keyframes. So you can see I hop between this one, but when I select this one, I can't hop. But if I'm off of that key, I can hop back to it. Anyways, I can take this layer right here and I can actually bring the opacity of this layer like right down to like 0.2 or something. Turn the radius of my little pin way up. And then I can just color in. I'll make this a bit bigger. Make that opacity a bit darker. And then we can just kind of color in this space a bit. So you can see like something like that can kind of help clarify a little bit. You know, okay, it's a dark space. There's this pile of stuff and our guy falls through. When you're telling a story, actually, no, this is more of a directing comment. When you're directing a story, even if you're the only one making it, what I mean by directing is when you're in that phase where you are trying to visualize how the story is going to be told to the audience, right? And you're deciding what shots you're going to use. This is a mistake I've done a lot in short films that I've made, where I've done my storyboards or whatever, and I've thought about my shot, and I'm on set or whatever, where I'm making an animated film, and I do the shot, and I miss a really important story beat. So a really important moment in the story. I don't capture it. I kind of capture it, but I sort of do it a bad job, and like we don't really cover it well. And then you're going and you're editing the film and like you're trying to make this really important idea land for the audience. And you can't do it because you just haven't filmed it well. You kind of like it happens off camera or it's not emphasized right, you know? So something that's really helpful is to actually think about what are the most important beats of this scene, right? And let's not get bogged down in storyboarding all the little details and all the shots we want. Let's think about like the big picture first, all right? So what are the big broad brushstrokes? Well, the first broad brushstroke is this guy's going to fall down the trash heap. The next important story beat is we want that robotic arm to come and pick him up and put him on the conveyor belt because we want to introduce this robotic arm. We don't want it kind of just appearing out of nowhere when he's trying to escape. It's nice to kind of introduce ideas before paying them off. And this is our way of introducing an idea. So the next shot we should actually board probably is, you know, this arm picking him up and dropping him onto the conveyor belt. Okay. Now we could actually do that with the close-up. I think it would be fun if we started on a close-up. So if we're over here, right, and I'm going to go back to my main layer and I'll drop my radius back down to 20, I think is what we had. And so let's come here and I'm also going to get rid of, I'll just tap off here so that it loses the shading. So you see I selected that layer that we had the shading on. I just tapped off frame, right? And that clears it because I've got auto key turned on. Right? Now I click back onto the layer that I want. And if I tap anywhere, it's going to erase all this stuff. And now what I want to do is I want to think about that close-up. So I'll have him kind of like maybe pop up, kind of pops up. And let's say he's like kind of, let's bury him in trash a little bit, you know, and like maybe there's like a banana peel or something on his head. And like we've got the light shining maybe behind him. That'd be nice because like we've got that doorway that's like that opened up. Maybe it could slam shut. That might be nice, like an extra story beat. The door slams shut. Goes dark on him or something. And then this arm, right, He's going to come down, hit Shift D to duplicate, bring it over here, right? Make sure I'm on that key by hitting the down arrow. That'll snap my playhead right onto that key. And let's just have this sort of clamp thing come down. Now, something that can also help when you're doing storyboards, see, I'm drawing these arrows, right? But it's kind of hard to make out a difference between arrows and just lines that are supposed to be objects in the scene. What you can do is you can come to your materials tab and click new to create a new one, and then grab, I like to grab like a light blue, and then you can use that to draw like, indications. And if you use that color consistently throughout your storyboards, it's a bit easier to follow for other people. So we could even do that up here, draw the, for the doors slamming shut. Anyways, so he's here, and then junk, that thing grabs him, and then let's say it whoosh, picks him right up. So I'm gonna Shift D this frame again. What I can do is go into edit mode, hit C to get brush selection. I can just kind of brush select a little bit of these guys. Just grabbed a few of each. Now, if I hit L, which is the hotkey for grab link selected, I can hit L and it'll select everything that's connected to those vertexes that I've just selected. I can hit G, right? And now I can just literally like move this thing straight up. And that just saves me a ton of time. I can leave edit mode. Oops. Go back to my dark material and draw the feet. Do this. I want to be low angle at this, right? Because I want this thing to be really imposing. I want it to feel huge and giant. So to do that, I need it to kind of be, way above us like this. So let's put so we take the articulating arm. It's like really high. It'd also be nice if there was the conveyor belt in this shot as well. We want to start introducing this. Maybe there's some other rubbish on this. And maybe we could do like a complicated shot where we start out low like this, right? And let me swap to my blue material, right? So maybe we see the arm. It starts over here, right? And it goes boom like this over to here. We could then maybe like come up. So let's go Q to quick select, turn on our onion skinning, go to our black color here. I'll just give myself some more time. I'll tap to get rid of everything. Now you can see we've got the onion skinning working. So I can see what I've just drawn. And now I can use that as a reference. Now this might be difficult, like for some people. This is doing some pretty heavy perspective stuff with these drawings, but again, like you don't have to be this detailed. But what if we have a shot, right, where as the arm's coming, right, we kind of go up with it and like see him get set down like on the conveyor belt all in one shot. So like he's spinning, it's going up, so like that, and then I think this is too low. Let's grab it all and move it up. Like brings him down like that. Doosh. And then we could even like go so far as to like come around him, like we could even like from here. Cool. All right, so now we've introduced the next important thing, which is this chomper thing. We might need like a full-on like close-up of this thing, like just to make it really clear that this is like bad news. So he turns around like that and starts to run back this way. Now, it's important as well to remember we should have him like make the decision to jump up and like run off in this shot as well, because we need to see his face. We need to be looking right at him. He's going to come up close like this. Maybe it's getting bigger as we go. So like maybe it's like this. So we actually get really close to him, and then he jumps up and starts to run. We need to really enhance the peril. Like we need to show this is really dangerous. Let's watch it back. Let's watch back what we got so far. So he bounces, lands down, stands up, gets picked up. What's that? Whoa, it's a giant arm. Drops him down. And then we turn around. Oh, now we see the compactor. I don't think I like this angle now that I'm seeing it. I'm thinking for this angle, what we need to have is delete that keyframe. And I'll just come here, grab my main one. I'm going to turn off onion skinning. Maybe there's some other like robot parts or something that we see going into this thing. I'm just going to punch into this close up. Maybe even we'll do a crash zoom in. That could be kind of cool. And then we'll come to this, and I'll just Shift D, duplicate that frame, bring it over, and I will just erase Maybe one more just to like make it really clear. Like we could just do this like that. So it's like kind of animated. Grab this, bring it in. All right. Now, one thing that doesn't work about this shot is that we can't feel the peril of this smasher, right? I mean, the story beat's correct. He turns and runs, but what's the point? It'd actually be way more fun if this shot right here, instead of from the side, if we drew it right so that that smasher was like right on top of him and like right behind us, right? You can see how this really will enhance the drama of the shot. And it'd be great if like he, turned around and got out just in time, Like even if he jumps over the camera, like that could be kind of cool. Let's turn on onion skinning on. Like if the smasher, right, got like right up over us, like we're going down the conveyor belt, this, something like that. And then like the next frame could be this thing like closes in on us, like actually just smashes up. We could do the opposite, maybe like what if we were looking out, down the conveyor belt like this. We see him land right here, and then the thing could come down. It's going to come down so quick we won't see it. So yeah, this is like going to be kind of like a black frame. I think that could work. We may have to work that out a little bit in the shot. Okay, now this is a crucial point, right? Because he's beat. He's been beat by the arms. Placed him on this conveyor belt. He turned around, he jumped, he escaped with his life, tries to get back. He's put right back in danger. You could just repeat the shot even, like back to the atom smasher. One of them is going to like come around, right, to drop something down. And when it does, he's going to jump up on it, right, and then ride it up. Then another arm is going to try and reach for that arm, right? And it's going to grab it, and he's going to jump off and leap off. I think that's what he's going to do, okay? But we can't just go straight into that. We need to give him a moment, okay? Because this is a character moment, right? So that's the action that we want to get to. But it's really important not to skip the character moments. So he's just been defeated. So we need to have him like kind of trying to debate, trying to figure out what to do, right? He needs to have a moment where he doesn't know what to do. So if he's getting like further and further away here, like that'd be kind of cool. Like what if we duplicated this, go to edit mode, grab him, and then let's say like he looks one way. Let's keep the thing in the background, right? Like it needs to be in the background smashing, as he's debating, right? So he's going to look this way. And then he's going to look the other way. That smasher is getting closer and closer. So, okay, this is really important, this little moment. So try not to rush past moments like this in your own films where you've got an idea of what the action needs to be and, you just rush right into it. You need to give your film time to breathe. And the main reason for that is you need to give the audience time to think about the situation. You need to get them to register what's just happened, think about what the obstacle is, recognize that he's got to overcome it. All that stuff's really important. So you need to give the audience space to think about that stuff. So it's not much space, just a little bit, but it's enough for us to consider it. I might grab these guys and extend them out. So, all right, cool. Well, let's watch the whole thing one more time from the start. Yeah, no, I feel like it is pretty good, actually. Like he's changed. He leads the group now. He's accepted his responsibility as a patrol robot. That's all we've got time to for tonight. So what are we going to do from here? Now that we've storyboarded the whole film, there are some shots, we'll need to evolve. There's things that aren't quite right, things that could be better. Like this moment in here, I feel like there's a bit more we could do, but this will be a lot better to work out in 3D. But these shots give us a good timing guide and give us a good sense of what we need to do. Now, if you don't already remember, like I said in the first episode, the little robot we're going to use is I've already made and rigged and set up in a series of tutorials on animation. So you can find those. I'll put a link somewhere on the video so you can watch that. And again, as a reminder, if you enjoyed this, you can always check out the Patreon and joining on YouTube, which will give you access to the full live stream where I did this entire video. You're probably watching the 20 to 30 minute cut down version on YouTube, but the full live stream will take you through a ton of extra detail and go off a lot of tangents and talk about a lot of great stuff. So if you really like to go deep and find out a lot of info, it's a really good place to do it. There is hours of extra content there for you to check out. So give it a chance, go check it out. Please consider supporting the work that I'm doing here. If you like this idea of doing this short film as a series like this, please hit that like button, leave me a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. Can't wait to take you through the next part of the process as we continue to make our short film. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. See ya. Bye.